Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Friday stream. Ooh, it's gonna be a good one. It is Friday, right? Oh gosh, I hope so. Tell you what, it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good one. I have to check a thing real quick. Solid. Hold that thought. Somebody's trying to do a thing. Cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hi. Might have to check that again in just a second. Sort of time sensitive, maybe. It's not super important, but hello, welcome. Hi, how's it going? I got myself a new drumline plugin for my audio software, so I was playing around with it today. I made that. Might make more. I love it. I love me a good drum line. But I have a drinking problem. Spilling over myself. Disclaimers. We gotta get disclaimers before we get into anything else. First of all, hi everyone. Glad to have you here. Disclaimers. First of all, the first 10 minutes of this stream, per usual, is just going to be me rambling, and the rest of the stream is going to be me continuing to ramble. With hopefully a little more direction. But the first 10 minutes, just so that people can sort of get themselves collected, get in here, grab their popcorn, sit down, settle down, do whatever they got to do. I'll get to that in just a second. So first 10 minutes, if you're watching this after the fact, you may be interested in just skipping forward 10 if you're not here for the witty banter. I do ramble a bunch, though. I do go off topic. In fact, some of my viewers like to actively try to get me off topic for their own amusement, which is fair. I allow that. So this may not be the stream for you if you're looking for a straight line kind of a story. It's going to be a looping back around and divergent paths and like some questionable choices in regards to OSHA standards, but it's going to be a good time. I have fun with it, and a bunch of you have fun with it, and that's good enough for me. It may not be your thing, though. However, if you're thinking, man, I'm not really having a good time at this part, and you're watching after the fact, if you're watching live, I'm so sorry. Feel free to skip forward. Or you can skip back, you can slow things down, you can speed things up, do what you need to do. And if it still doesn't work, I'm afraid this might not be the channel for you. And the reason I bring this up is because there are a few people who continue to be confused about this, where they come to my channel just to complain about my content, which seems strange because all they have to do is not view it. But thanks for the views. I don't know. It's a good time. Also, I have this mug. Some of you got me some very fun things through my P.O. box, which is in the description on this video. You do not have to send me anything, but some people did. And I'm loving this mug, I tell you what. And one of the reasons I love this mug is because it goes with this.
Careful, Icarus.
It's a Careful Icarus mug. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there you go. There's Jeff the robot doing his thing. Love it. Anyway, other disclaimers. What do I got? Oh, I'm stuck. There's a cable there. Hopefully it's not important. Creaky chair. Chair is creaky. That's a disclaimer. I really need to oil this thing. What do I have? I already hit up 2 of them. You'll notice these are empty. That does not mean there are not liquids to consume. I was sent a bucket of mystery liquids. I'm hoping they're still factory sealed. Usually it's apple juice that I'm drinking. I have a severe apple juice allergy. I appear to have a similar allergy to whatever this liquid is. I don't know what the liquid is. We had some of it last time. It was not good. So if you enjoy watching me struggle to consume liquids, there you go. Now, to get me to do that, you can't. I'm sorry. There is no way to get me to do that. I'm the only one that gets to make the choice whether or not I want to do that. But sometimes I'm compelled to make that choice by flipping this coin. Now, if the coin is heads, which is this side of the coin, then I often feel, maybe it's like OCD or something, not to make fun or disparage anyone with OCD. Maybe it's some sort of compulsion. I generally drink from one of these, and today it will be from the mystery bucket. If it's heads. If it's tails, I generally don't, although sometimes I do. It's not betting. All you're doing is getting me to flip a coin, and then I get to decide what I do with that coin. It could be heads 5 times in a row, and I might just be like, nah, not today. And that's very unfortunate and feels very unfair, but life is not fair. However, I don't want you to think, oh, they're empty, and therefore we're not doing those weird shenanigans. Because we are. You absolutely don't have to. In fact, I'm going to be very okay if you don't. Because the last one tasted like soap, and it may have been soap. Factory sealed soap. I don't know. But that's the thing. Oh, sorry. Let me explain how this works. The coin flip. If you are incredibly generous and you decided to donate $20, which is way too much money, my mother likes to ask me why people donate that much money, to which I say, Mom, why don't you believe in me? And then I go, but also I don't have an answer. If you are incredibly generous, that's what gets a coin flip. But you please don't donate if you don't want to donate, if you can't donate, if your finances aren't on the up and up. Do not send me money. I have a real job. The money just goes towards this weird nonsense that I do. That's sort of how I justify my budgeting, because otherwise certain people in my life get very confused as to why I'm buying all sorts of unusual and strange things. Like a varsity wrestling trophy from 2004, which sometimes I wore to people in the comments, well, in the live chat, for being absolutely hilarious. But that's none of you yet. I haven't actually read the chat. But let me do that now. Let me see what's up. Oh, a bunch of people subscribed while I was away. So thank you to those people. Dan Tibbin, thank you so much for being a member. And happy Friday to you, too. It is Friday, right? Time has no meaning anymore. My schedule has been very sort of over the last week or so. So time is a construct. And Witch of Heart, thank you for being a member. So pumped for this. Oh, it's going to be good. I'm going to rip this dude apart. Well, not really. I'm going to sass him a lot. Also, you'll notice my throat's kind of blah. And that is because I'm recovering from what appears to be just a boring, like, lower level flu kind of situation. But my throat is kind of upset with me about it, which is fair. You know, because I don't ever shut up. So my throat's like, bro, you gotta stop. So who knows if I'll have a voice at the end of this. We'll find out. Usually these last about 2 hours. We'll see. We are coming up on that 10-minute mark, though. We got a little over 2 minutes. That's fine. All right. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So, disclaimer for today. You'll probably see me snacking on some cough drops. Menthol hit them. Ooh, my menthol. Yeah, I gotta get my menthol stuff from the... Don't worry about it. It's fine. Brah. I'm making a mess over here. All right. So sorry if that offends anybody or the clicking of a thing. It upsets me too. I'm so sorry. I have to hear it as well. On a delay, which is very weird to get used to. But we're not going to, talk about how great I am at doing live streams, because what's there to talk about? Our Lord and Savior, Taser Daddy. Anyway, Judge Fentress Albro Court, thank you so much, says, Dumb Bleep says he's going to sue me. Nah, he's just going to run. Art, thank you so much, says, keep up the good work. TTU, baby. Now, people were wondering, I was in Team Skeptics chat the other day, and people were asking what TTU was, and I was like, I actually have no idea. Apparently, it stands for Trifold Trolls Unite or something like that, or Two Thumbs Up. I'm not really sure. I'm not entirely sure. For those of you wondering, because I was. Mike's Diabetes World, thank you so much. That is a coin flip, so we got one coin flip. Oh, I'm upset about it already. Judy, thank you so much. Says, tell your mom hi. I will. She's like, who's Judy? She doesn't sound like that, but for comedic purposes, she does. And Tan Guy, thanks so much as well. All right, that's 2 coin flips. You jerks. That's tails. Oh, that's tails. I don't have to drink the soap. But that is a heads. That is a heads, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get me some... I have a cough drop in. Very upset about this. Okay. We're doing it at the cop shop. It's going to be horrendous. All right, mystery bucket. Oh, okay. It is, it's banana. It's a banana flavored liquid. I'm very, oh no. Okay, factory seal, that's good. We hope, that smells like bananas. Bananas and menthol, ladies and gentlemen. You thought, Elvis had some weird taste in banana related food. Oh! Oh! I tell you, it's better than the last one. But the menthol. Oh. That was a thing. Oh, that actually wasn't bad, except for the menthol. Oh. Okay, that's fine, and that's why some people do that, because they think it's hilarious. And you're good. It makes my life difficult. So, which makes it more interesting for me. So let's get into the thing we're going to talk about, which is Dennis Sperling. Oh, Dennis Sperling. This is not presumably the last time we're going to talk about Dennis Sperling. Because there are some things to talk about with Dennis Sperling. Dennis Sperling is an actual attorney. I checked this. He is an attorney. He's licensed to practice law in 4 different states, which would be New York, Illinois, Louisiana, and Texas. That's the last one. Those 4. And in fact, I can tell you, when he was admitted to practice law in those states, Louisiana was 2000 as his first one. Texas, he was admitted to practice law, admitted to the bar in 2006. New York, that would have been 2013. And Illinois, that would be 2014. So good for him. Studious young man. He's not, well, I say young man, he's older than I am, I think. But he's an attorney, and he had Chille on his channel to discuss Terry versus Ohio, what else. And he was very much in agreement with Chille, which struck me as odd. Because I have specific training on this case, having been law enforcement, and Chille's interpretation is wrong based on that training. Chille's interpretation is wrong based on an actual reading of the court case. His interpretation is wrong based on a couple of attorneys that I've talked to about this, at least one of them on stream, where they say that's not how that works. No. And the general consensus that Chille is absolutely wrong. There are plenty of other attorneys who have publicly stated, like, no, Chille, this is not how Terry versus Ohio works. So for... thank you. For this attorney who's been admitted to practice or passed the bar as far as 2000, right? 22 years ago.
Enjoy a bottle of gritty bots every
I
flavor,
won't.
please.
I will. As far as that goes, it's kind of odd. So I decided I wanted to look into this. And some people were coming to me, and thank you all for coming to me about this. Saying that this lawyer was claiming some very interesting things, some provably wrong things, which is usually, I'm getting stuck on that lozenge. I just wanted to use the word lozenge. Sorry for the clicking. That's how you know I have teeth, I guess. Things that are like provably wrong, like especially when it's like math related, that's how you get my attention. Well, it's one of the many ways. So we're going to get into this. We're going to play this fast because it's an hour and 48 minutes. You know how I like to talk. So we're going to up the playback speed and we'll get through at least some of it. We'll try 1.5 and we'll slow down. I'm going to be interrupting this a lot, guys. So this is more for the sass than it is for anything else. If you want to check this guy out yourself and watch it without my interruptions, Dennis Sperling, 52.1 thousand subscribers. Good for him. Very well done. Good for him. And the video is Politics of Modern Men, Manosphere 3.0. And it was streamed live on September 21st, 2022. Do not harass the man. Do not attack anybody in the comments. If you're going to go there, don't. I'm not asking you, nor do I want you to go and cause trouble. It's just, if you do not want to watch this with my interruptions, that is the video. That is it. This is not a call to attack. Do not harass this guy. Cool. Just for your own context and whatever. So let's get into it. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I can't hear what you're hearing. So if the audio needs balancing, please let me know, and I'll keep a little lazy eye on the chat there. But it's... although Derek Faircloth asks, can I address the claims that Chille made on his channel? Well, that depends on the claims. As, oh boy, does he do nothing but make claims that are addressable by moi. All right. Oh, Judge Fentress. Don't worry. We're getting to that. Don't worry. I do like his intro, though. It's very fun. This looks like the kind of intro that you'd buy from like Adobe Premiere, or maybe they give out for free. I don't know. Camera's a little blurry, isn't it? I'll have to fix that. I probably won't. Yeah, you can purchase these intros, which, savvy move. I probably should think about that. I should give that a thought. But I like it. I think he made a good choice. Assuming this is purchased, I don't know. But good for him. Business savvy already. Help support unbiased news. Unbiased news, okay. Contribute to the paid power cash app. Dennis Sperling, unfiltered. And then you get, you have that intense intro, and then you have a webcam from 2012. That's okay. Okay, we had a good start. It's fine. It's fine. Bump up my volume, says the old moderator there. All right, let me slow down the channel as well. I'm being asked to slow down the channel because y'all are as talkative as I am. That's not true. That's impossible. That's impossible. Search your feelings. You know it to be true. All right, let me... I'm learning. I'm figuring out how to do this. It's going to be faster this time. I almost remembered from last time when I had to do it. Oh, I feel like I'm close. There it is. Found it. All right, 20 seconds, you hooligans. All right. Where was I? Again, apologizing for the cough drop in my mouth.
On the content here at Dennis Sperling Unfiltered, make sure you support it by sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And also, hit that little notification bell.
Oh, you know what my problem is? This needs to be bumped up. Yeah.
In the corner so that you'll get
Tell me if that's better.
Every one of our live feeds.
What does this have to do with anything? Stay ready and you don't have to get ready. Yeah, you're not... I mean, if I'm going to teach someone... Okay, I know, we're not even into it yet. I'm going to be like, stay ready. It's not going to be like, all right, let's do boxing by the books. It's going to be like, Krav Maga, you know, it's like killing people. No, it's not going to be that. If I'm trying to teach people, if this is what he's trying to articulate, like how to stay safe, boxing is probably not the way I'm going to do it. Although boxing has some very important things to it. Everyone's tough until you get on the ground. Jiu-jitsu. Good thing to know. Very good thing to know. Zaner! I assume this is not the real Zaner. Anyway, just weird choices are starting to pop up here with this channel, this video. This video is sped up. His boxing is sped up. Okay. All right. Also, make sure everybody around you stays ready. What is this what is happening? You had your intro. Don't get greedy. I'm just gonna skip. I say ready. Are you ready? Ready for what? Boxing? I thought you were a lawyer. What is happening? Last time I checked, duels aren't a way that you can, like, be found guilty or not anymore. I don't get it.
Hey, if you're enjoying the content here at Dennis Sperling Unfiltered, make sure you support it by sharing, and subscribing to the channel.
And feel free to. Absolutely feel free to. Or on my channel, if you want to give me some lovin'. You can't, though. I'm a taken man. But you can come close by liking, subscribing, and saying nice things in the chat.
And also, hit that little notification bell in the corner so that you'll get notice of each and every one of our live feeds.
All right, pro tip, because now this is about me criticizing his ability to make videos. Not that I'm very good at it either. If you're going to be reading off a script, try to have that script behind the camera. I have a script behind the camera. because I have notes that I want to touch on. Because if I don't have it there, I'm never going to say them because I'm just going to go off on a weird tangent like I am right now. Yeah, don't be looking off to the side while you're giving like a basic statement that you definitely could have memorized in 5 minutes. I'm just saying. I'm being hypercritical of this guy. I'm sorry, that's on me. Another intro? Why do you have 3 intros? Okay, I can't. Rennie. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. Does the audio need fixing? I'm so sorry. I turned it down a lot. I'm so sorry. Let me. I'll let you figure it out. It's fine. Are they? Okay. Cool. Yeah. As fun as we have with our names, our YouTube channel names, folks, and the things that pop up, there is a limit. There's a limit. Some of you come close. One of you definitely crossed that line. Adobe Pro gives you 3 free intros. Oh, look at that. There's some good intros there. I tell you what, you just don't need as many as this guy is using, I think. Why does it say Fox 26? Why are there 2 videos of him from the same angle? I mean, that's great. Yeah, have yourself in a professional setting. That's great. I don't know what this is. This isn't you, right?
Bad boys, what you want? What you gonna do?
What? I haven't seen the intro. I skipped ahead. Are you kidding me?
When Sheriff John Brown come for you, what you gonna do? When Sheriff John Brown come for you.
What's up?
Okay, keep in mind this is sped. I'm sorry, I forgot I sped up. So when I was like, yeah, you sped up his boxing. I sped up his boxing. I'm sorry, I forgot I did that.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Bad boys, bad boys.
I might have to take a closer look at that screen later. Anyway.
What you gonna do? What you gonna when they come? What you?
It says fair use. But what changes are you making to it, buddy? What commentary are you making that is relevant, that changes the nature of the content, that, morphs it into something new? What changes? How's that? Are you sure it's fair use?
Gonna do when they come for you, bad boys, bad boys. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? You chuck it on that one, you chuck it on this one, you chuck it on.
Welcome back to the.
It's risky. It's risky, folks. Just singing along. Like, I get copyright claims when I do my Kermit stuff because it's not super fair use. It's a little fair use, but not like copyright takedown. Just they take some of the money because it is a personal performance. Anyway.
Broadcast. I hope you guys appreciate that. Shout out to Derek so much. It's always good to be here. Hit the number 1 button, you guys, if you appreciate what we're doing here in these YouTube streets. We got the collaboration tonight that you didn't know you needed, man.
We didn't need it at all.
Coming back.
I knew I didn't need
Laws, man. The guy that's on it. You guys might remember him from earlier this year. He ran up on some cops and had the cops afraid. And
I bet he didn't.
I immediately had to reach out to him and ask him to appear on my broadcast. And
I did zero research on this guy and then was like, tell us your story for reasons.
And it was a great day. Now, here's the thing. You guys see the I know you see the thumbnail. Them boys. Anybody who's had them boys on your ass, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When the cops pull up on you, when they see you in the street, you see them following you. Come over here. Where you going? You already know what's happening. They on your ass. Okay, excuse the language, but there's no better description other than to describe it like that. All right.
No, there are better descriptions. It's fine, but you're entitled to opinions.
Right. And what does that mean? What that means is the police are sizing you up. They're trying to figure out what they need to do to go about harassing you. And this seems
okay. Well, that's a lie. That's not what's happening at all. Police are not looking at everybody with the intent of determining how to harass them. That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous statement. It's obviously false, and I'm sure he knows it's false. It's an opinion. You're entitled to an opinion, but now you're stating this fact as an attorney. And he's not like, he's not sworn in to in a courtroom right now, but he's representing himself as an attorney. He's an attorney. That's just oof. I don't much care for it already. Also, he calls himself the Blizzard King. If you needed a reason to be like, why is Blue kind of roasting this guy? There's one. First of all, hanging out with Chille and thinking Chille makes sense and is smart and intelligent, and when it comes to issues of law, that's a good reason to roast you, especially if you are an attorney. That doesn't instill confidence in me that you know what you're doing. But if you're going to call yourself the Blizzard King, if I go to court and I've been assigned, let's say for whatever reason I've been assigned a public defender, and I'm like, oh, hello, sir, pleasure to meet you. He goes, yeah, it is a pleasure. I'm the Blizzard King, dog. Not that Danny will talk like that. Pfft, I'm just saying. But let's give him a different voice. If my attorney is like, oh, hello there, I am the Blizzard King. I'm excited to take your case. I'm walking away. I'm filing some paperwork to get a different attorney. But that's okay. It's fine. Who's really keeping track?
Seems to be something that black men have had to deal with all the way back since the time of Malcolm X and before. And so here's the thing you got to understand. At some point, we need to begin to do something about it. But before we get started, I want you guys to go ahead and hit the number 1 button, show your appreciation.
That's right, chat. Hit the number 1 button to show your appreciation. Only if you want to, because it's weird.
Make sure you...
I think it's a thing with like, oh, the algorithm likes it. But I do this for us. I don't need the algorithm getting all up involved in our business. We're doing all right. Let's get some privacy from the old technologies. Yeah, I'm out of water. It's fine.
You hit the number 1 button. Shout out to all my people in the chat room. Where's my rent mob? Where's the rent mob here?
Yay! Air horns! That one was me. He did the
my moderators are here because we got to make sure we got the moderators. This is what we call Manosphere 3.0, the politics of modern men.
What happened to Manosphere 1.0 and 2.0?
Going to be
don't know what's happening.
It's probably going to be what the main point
I got to skip forward a little bit.
United States of leading the way for civil rights and people of color in general, and of course disenfranchised people, which means even poor whites benefit from the hard work that black Americans did. Nevertheless, if you read the great works of Thurgood Marshall, Martin Luther King, and some of these other
wait, Thurgood Marshall, wasn't that the attorney in Terry v. Ohio? Wasn't it? No, hold on. Well, let me just look at this real quick. Am I wrong about that? Huh. Yeah, Thurgood Marshall was one of the attorneys in Terry v. Ohio, or not attorneys, one of the Supreme Court justices in Terry v. Ohio. Yeah, anyway. All right, it's done. Words are hard. That's enough researching. Let's keep going. Yeah.
Civil rights leaders, they will tell you, hey, behind the scenes, they had all sorts of folks helping them out. All these brilliant minds. Yes, black men might be the face of the civil rights march.
Crinkly bag.
You got a lot of folks kicking in from behind. Of course, we put our skin in the game, but everybody was behind the scenes helping out for the betterment of the United States. Okay. And here's the thing. I don't think anyone in this country has more of a title to call themselves Americans and black American men, especially considering that we died in droves in every major war in this country and we volunteered for it, more likely than not.
You could make that argument. I don't have anything that says that more people volunteered than didn't, but I think that goes for just about everybody. I think there are probably more white volunteers than not volunteers as well, because the draft is not terribly common in the United States. Happened a couple times, but super common. So yeah, you could make that argument. I think it's maybe not super relevant to whatever you're about to discuss, but that's fine. I'm not trying to be like, black people, put them back in their place. No, God, no. No, they have been disparaged, and there are certainly issues with the system historically and that still persist today. But I'm worried this guy's going to bring race into this where it doesn't need to be brought in, where it doesn't really apply. Maybe.
We wanted to go to World War II. We wanted to go to World War I and serve the War of 1812. So, and we've been here longer than most folks.
Didn't you know Alex Sargent? And thank you, by the way. That's the Blizzard King. Also, he's an attorney based out of Houston.
Who came here in 1905. To all my white friends who are listening here, all the white folks, all the Latinos, all the Asians. Remember, black folks have been here since this country's inception. Many of you didn't come along till 1905 when you.
Well, many people of African descent did come here before many other white people, that's for sure. But many white people were here in the beginning as well, because it was the beginning. And there, of course, Native Americans. That was horrendous. I don't know where he's getting at. Really, is my concern.
From Eastern Europe, and others came in 1980s when Africans came from the continent. So we as Black Americans, we have.
Yeah. You white people came afterwards, and so did the Africans in the 1980s. Or is he talking about the white people in Africa? I don't know. I'm just struggling to figure out what his point is. And maybe if I just let the video continue, we'd find out. That's on me. I'll give myself that one.
We have a vested interest in
it. I'll just skip forward a little bit.
Those of you guys know these YouTube streets. There's absolutely no way you don't know who Dr. Tia Johnson is. He is an associate professor of Africana Studies at California State University, Fresno. He founded numerous Fresno State programs, including the Africana Studies Online teleconference on Black Male Studies, the Onyx Black Male Film Festival.
Okay. Yep.
And so energetically and clear that these are not just for people of color, but for poor people. So again, we continue that tradition. So let's hit the number 1 button for Dr. Tia Johnson. Hit the number 1 button. Big shout out to Dr. Tia Johnson for that. And so what I
can't be mad at his use of
saying, hey,
the button, because I did the same thing.
What are the keys to this vote? If we want to get in, we need to know what Black men want. So what I've done is I've taken his 14-point idea and I've analyzed it. And one of the things I focus on is the law enforcement. Why would I do that? Well, of course, for many of you guys, you know, I'm a trial lawyer and I've been practicing law going on 3 decades.
Okay. And there's our first issue. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a little basic math problem. How many times does 30 go into 22? Let me explain. He's only been licensed to practice law since 2000. It is now 2022. That's 22 years. How has he been doing this for 3 decades when he's barely made it to the halfway point of the third one? He's been doing this, so he's got 2 decades and 2 years. You can't round that up to 3. You know what I'm saying? Like 2.2 does not round up to 3. Now you could argue, 3 years in law school. No. That's not practicing law. And this isn't the only time he's said this. This isn't like, it's just a slip of the tongue that an investigative music going. He did it as well. Let me see if I can pull that up. Here we go.
I'm a lawyer. This is what I do all day, every day, and I've been doing it going on 3 decades.
You haven't been going on 3 decades, though, have you, buddy? That was for Modern Men Bravely Searching for Truth, where he gets a bunch of men. I don't know. I've seen a little bit of his content. There's a lot of misogyny in there. It would seem, based on what I've seen. Maybe he's not misogynistic. Maybe I've just seen all the wrong parts. But, yeah. Look, you can't bring me a lawyer and be like, this lawyer's great, and expect me to trust them if they don't know that 22 years is not 3 decades. Now, maybe that's not super relevant when it comes to, trial lawyering, but that's some pretty basic stuff. And if they don't have that foundation of knowledge, it really makes me wonder what other foundations of knowledge they are also missing. But it does make me think that maybe Chille does have a chance to pass the bar. It's fine. Am I being a little harsh on this dude? Yeah. Because he should know better. He should know better. So I'm going to be real harsh on him. It's okay.
Because of that, I have a vested interest.
He's a big, strong man. He can handle it. He boxes outside. He can handle it.
Well, I understand the point of view more so than perhaps a layperson. Now, I don't want to go into all 14 points, but I do want to go into the points focused on by the 14.
Now, an interesting point is brought up from Rick Lime saying, bet you he means 3 different decades, 2020, 2010s, 2010s and 2000s. And that would be fair. But you would word that differently. And I would expect a lawyer, where words are really important in trial law, and, well, any law, really. 3 decades implies 30 years plus. You could word it differently, say, as you said, through 3 different decades. Or over the course of... No. Yeah, it just feels like a very deceptive way of saying it. And it really sort of rubs me the wrong way. I don't believe in intentionally deceiving people when it comes to taking money from them, for example. So if he's going to his clients and be like, yeah, I've been practicing law for 30 years or for 3 decades, that feels very deceptive. And I just don't care for it. And yeah, he could probably argue his way out of it. You brought up a really, really good point, actually. But it rubs me the wrong way. It just doesn't feel like the honest thing to do.
14-point black male agenda.
Do you say across 3 decades? Stand by. You said going on 3 decades.
From
Going on 3 decades feels like you're approaching 3 decades. 22 is not approaching 3 decades. You're still 8 years away. I would argue that that's not. And maybe I'm arguing wrong. You know, maybe I'm incorrect for thinking these things. I just personally would not have worded it that way. Let me see if I can pull it up again. There we go. Going on 3 decades. I just disagree with that. I disagree with the way that's worded. I think that's a dishonest way of saying it. But not technically a lie then, if we think about it that way. Okay, I'll allow that. I will allow that. Let's keep going.
And you can find it on his website. You can find it everywhere associated with Dr. T. Hassan Johnson. Now, a couple of things that they mentioned, right, are, and they're very important. The things they mentioned, criminal sentencing reform, we can agree with that. Okay, sure. Licensing law enforcement, we can agree with that.
Law enforcement is licensed. What do you mean licensing law enforcement? They're certified. When you become law enforcement, you get all sorts of certifications. You can hear all my computer sound effects. Yeah, there's not much I can do about that. I'm sorry about that. Maybe I can fix that at some point. You mean all the bling? Yeah. Sorry. Anyway, I don't know what he means by licensing law enforcement, because they're sworn officials. They have certifications. I need more elaboration on that, which I'm probably not going to get.
Proxy violence, which is, you go to this, basically licensing law enforcement. We can agree with that. Proxy violence, which is, you go to this, basically having other people do your dirt for you.
Well, yeah, you don't want that. Where's that coming from?
Qualified immunity, jury nullification.
Qualified immunity. I could live with qualified immunity being a little less defensive of police in an attempt to make sure they were very, very, they knew what they were doing, right? I did not, if I messed up, I was, oh boy, was I in a lot of trouble. So I never really experienced that kind of thing. However, getting rid of it entirely demonstrates a misunderstanding of how all of that system works. And I disagree with getting rid of it entirely. Not because of like, oh, I benefited from it, because I really didn't. But because it's not the problem a lot of people think it is. Really, qualified immunity protects you from, like, if you make a very reasonable mistake, you can't really be held responsible for it. But you can certainly be held. A lot of people think that qualified immunity means that you can't sue law enforcement at all, which is absolutely false. So I'm not explaining it super duper well, but be that as it may, he's not explaining it very well either.
Dealing with false accusations, and minimum age of criminality, responsibility. And lastly,
there already exists in most of the United States a minimum age of criminality and responsibility, or some might refer to it as the age of culpability, where certain people, children of a certain age, cannot be held responsible for criminal acts that they commit. So if a 12-year-old in some states in the United States takes a baseball bat and hits somebody with it, hits the mailman on the knees, that's not considered assault. Again, in some parts of the United States, if not all parts of the United States. I don't think all of the United States has a culpability age law. But in some parts of the United States, it does. Your child cannot be held criminally responsible for that act, depending on the state. Again, or like 7 years old, for example. Yeah. Anyway, that's already a thing. I don't know what he's arguing about.
In law enforcement collaboration. Okay. Now here's the thing. One of the things I've learned.
That's not a bad idea. Collaboration is good.
Is that unless you deal with Terry versus Ohio, none of that matters.
That's wrong. Terry versus Ohio is not related to a lot of that. Terry versus Ohio. So, okay, let me explain Terry versus Ohio for those of you who haven't looked into it too much. 1963, an officer, McFadden? Officer McFadden observes two people appearing to case a jewelry store. They're walking back and forth in front of it many times, and then walking to a third person and appearing to report what they're seeing. Now, that looks very suspicious. A reasonable person, in fact, in the oral arguments basically established an officer who's been working in law enforcement for long enough is going to see that and go, yeah, that's suspicious. Like, no reasonable officer would not believe that's suspicious. So they're detained. The officer pats down the individuals, pats down one of the individuals, finds a gun on the second individual, arrests two of them at least, for carrying a concealed weapon. Does not arrest them for casing the joint. They never actually felt the need to prove that. So the question isn't whether or not, and Chille likes to think that it's all about detentions, right? Like, oh, Terry versus Ohio means police can detain you, which is not true. Terry versus Ohio was a determination at the federal level whether or not an officer in that kind of circumstance could pat you down in a non-intrusive search over your clothing. That's it. This was already happening in the United States. Like, the states had already decided this was okay. States had already very much decided that a detention based on reasonable, articulable suspicion was allowed. All Terry versus Ohio did was confirm, yep, that's not against the Constitution. So if you're not already doing it, you can. You don't have to, but you can. So Terry stop specifically generally means you're being patted down on the outside of your clothing. If you're not getting patted down, it's just a detention. A Terry stop is technically different. So if what he's just talked about has nothing to do with patting someone down over their clothing, then I don't know what he's getting at. What does that have to do with collaboration within law enforcement? What does that have to do with licensing law enforcement? What does that have to do with sentencing reform? It doesn't. Unless he's trying to establish that the Supreme Court is being a little too loosey-goosey when it comes to the Fourth Amendment, but I still don't understand how that would be related to sentencing reform, because that would probably be related to a different amendment that wasn't the Fourth Amendment. So I don't know what he's talking about. I don't think he does either. Now, before I keep going, I do want to thank a bunch of you for being incredibly generous. Let me get this out of the way very quickly as I can. I won't do all of it, but we'll get to some of it. Where was I? Playboys in Crime. Thank you so much. Says, thanks again for coming on the panel Tuesday. It was a blast. I toured Chille a new one after you left. Can't wait to see what this lawyer did. Oh, it was good. I went on a panel on Twitch. We had a lot of fun. Chille's Car. Thank you so much. Says, hey, Judge, can you make Chille pay me the bet money he owes me? Taco and Yoshi Gaming. Thank you so much. Says, Chille always loses. The card game coming October 2022. Free to all to print and play. Love you and hope you're doing well, Blue Bacon. TTU Uwu. Robert Carley, thanks so much, says, in a stream a couple hours ago, Chille's going to sue the judge from Wednesday and appeal the verdict against Kate and Josh. Yeah, he's going to lose that, and it's going to be hilarious. I thought he was moving forward. He said he was moving forward. He couldn't let this distract him, but oh no, he lied again. It's so crazy. Who would have expected that? Yeah, he sue the judge for his misunderstanding of how courtrooms work. That's going to be fun. He can try to appeal it. I have no problem with that. I don't think it's going to be successful, but he can try. Because he failed to state a claim upon which relief could be granted. Not exactly. That's not exactly applicable. But it's a common thing with his lawsuits and his legal filings, is he fails to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. And in his case, he failed to state a claim upon which a protection order would be viable. So, of course, the judge isn't going to be like, yeah, give me all your evidence, because he didn't establish that any of the evidence would prove anything, because the thing that he said it would prove wasn't grounds for a protection order. It's amazing how that works. Anyway, but he doesn't know anything about law. It's fine. Well, more or less. Subjectively. Zaner, thanks so much. Says, be nice to Chille. It's my car. He's a bad driver, but he's a good kisser. Okay, it's the fake. It's the fake Zaner. Thank you. Arrow Scout, thank you for being a member. Says, so what's the weather like out there? Flying out to niece's wedding. If hurricanes don't close, MCO. It's getting chillier. I mean, it's still warm, but it's getting chillier. Hitchbot, thanks so much. Says, enjoy a bottle of Birdie Bots, every flavor of booze. And that's a coin flip. No, that's a heads. All right. Bucket of mystery. Creaky chair. Goodness. What do you have for me? Root beer. Root beer. All right. Let's get this out of the way. Judy, Chille knows some buzzwords, not law. I just choked on the ghost channels I was accidentally manhandling when I was dancing. Some of you saw it. I didn't mean to. I was looking at myself on my screen, just like, that's a bad dance. But I gotta keep going, or else it looks like then I call myself out. So, what's the point? It's fine. I'll find that later. Ooh, that one's pretty good. The menthol really gives it a bit of a kick, though. Anyway, and then Zaner again says, I miss you, Chille. Make a U-turn and come back. And then I'll read two more. Judge Fentress Attleboro Kurt. Thank you so much. Kurt. I meant Court. I'm sorry. Says, when he was on Sperling, Chille said George Floyd and Breonna Taylor were victims of Terry vs. Ohio. They were not. You are correct. And yeah, we'll get back into that. But yeah, because again, Terry vs. Ohio is a detention. One. It's a couple things. Well, it's as many as you want it to be if you really want to get into the nitty gritty. But for the purpose of this, it's two things. One, you're detained based on reasonable or articulable suspicion. Two, you're being patted down because an officer reasonably, not subjectively, but reasonably, for good reason, believes you may be armed. So they will just pat you down to determine if you have a weapon that might cause them harm. That is it. If I pat someone down and I feel a baggie of cocaine in their pocket, I cannot search that pocket. Well, unless I'm certain it's cocaine. I'm not searching for cocaine. If it could be anything if it was just like, oh, is it cocaine or is it is it crack rocks or is it bag granola? If I'm not sure, I can't go into that pocket. That's it. It's purely, hey, are you cool? We're good? Cool. That's it. That's a Terry stop. That's it. How does an attorney of maybe 30 years, who knows, not understand this? And also Chille, who's been making this his life's work for 20 years or whatever he says about it. I don't know. All right, last one. Zaner again, thanks so much, says, be nice to Chille. When you make him mad, he gives me the bad types of spankings. I'm going to have to stop reading your comments. All right, let's keep watching this.
And Delete Laws is going to come in here shortly and explain to us in detail exactly why Terry versus Ohio is important. But here's what I want you to keep in mind.
It is very important, though. It's a very important case.
Everything you see up there is cure. But what we want to focus on is the prevention. And if we are able to reform Terry versus Ohio through legislation and have it deemed unconstitutional.
Okay, no, your legislation isn't going to get it deemed unconstitutional. It's been deemed constitutional. You can limit it through legislation. Sure, at the state level. I mean, federal level probably too. Unlikely. Legislation would be the way to do it. Because you're probably not going to do it through the court system. Because it's pretty well established at this point. However, you wanted to introduce new legislation that changed how law enforcement interact with the world, which is happening quite a bit throughout the United States. I'm kind of excited about it. There are a lot of people are scared about the changes. No, the world's changing, and there are some law enforcement agencies that are making some very interesting changes that I think have the potential, if implemented correctly, and sort of run into a groove, into a solid sort of pattern of behavior, a mentality. I think they have the potential to be incredible. So yeah, you can pass legislation to do that. In fact, I have a video that I'm going to be putting out hopefully soon about a law in Illinois that people are like, it's the Purge law. It's not. It's actually a really good law. And people are freaking out about it because nobody's read it. They're basing it off of some really just terrible analysis they've seen on Facebook, which is not a good place to get your legal information, folks. It's a terrible place. It's almost, I don't think I've ever seen it be good on Facebook. That's the whole thing. I'm rambling too much. I only have so much voice left.
If we're able to come up with laws to say, hey, this is
Okay, question. Isn't a federal tort lawsuit the wrong type of lawsuit for Chille to file? I would probably guess yes, but I might not be the right person to ask about that.
not the way in which you deal with this.
Sorry, hit the wrong button.
We eliminate the police contact because it's Terry versus
Eliminate
Ohio.
the police. Sorry, I keep hitting the button. There we go. All right. Eliminate the police contact. That's right. Police will stop you from committing crimes by making no contact with you or something. I don't understand what that logic is. Doesn't make sense. Oh, we strongly suspect this person has beaten his girlfriend, but we can't make contact with him unless we actually see him punching her. So, which is not how probable cause actually works. You could I'm setting a higher bar than is required, but I'm just trying to put out a point
that allows police officers to have a gateway into your life.
Oh, TikTok is also terrible. Well, sometimes there's some good TikTok lawyers out there. Usually they're good.
And that's what we want to end. Okay. Now, without further ado, I want to invite my good friend and yours from these.
He's not my friend. I tried. I was very friendly to him. He's the one that broke off a relationship.
He's from these YouTube streets. Man, let's get our man. Big hand for Delete
The only streets he's ever been from.
Laws. Welcome back, Delete Laws. Always good to have you here, man. What's up, man?
Uncle D.
I feel like that's very offensive for me and Chille to do.
Good to see you.
It's always good to see you too, man. You got the chalkboard ready. I mean, you got it ready back there, man. So you guys are.
Yeah, it's not a chalkboard, it's a poster. Glad I could help.
I always tell you, like, this is
As if I don't say things wrong all the time. I'm sorry. That's unfair on my part.
some PhD level stuff. My fiance is in law school, and I can promise you that her criminal law professor who teaches criminal procedure is not going to go in depth as Delete Laws will right here. So break out your notepads. I want y'all to listen very
Well, yeah, because what Chille says is wrong.
carefully. I've already laid the foundation. Delete Laws. Go ahead, man. I might chime in and ask questions. The floor is yours, brother.
Okay, so you know how you always will go to a group of people and you always want to give someone like a nugget of information that they can take away from you where you're at a party or get together, wherever you are. So what I want to give you, because Uncle D's audience is a predominantly black male audience, I want to give you this little nugget that every time you hear someone say, what's your reasonable articulable suspicion? You are perpetuating Terry versus Ohio.
Again, no. We already talked about this. Terry versus Ohio is not reasonable articulable suspicion. Terry versus Ohio is reasonable articulable suspicion plus a pat down. You need that pat down. That's the second part. Otherwise, it's just a detention. Just a detainment. Cool? Chille's already wrong. An attorney should be able to spot this. Right out the gate, he is wrong. But does Sperling speak up? Let's find out.
And so when Uncle D was talking earlier that Terry versus Ohio is unconstitutional, what exactly did he mean? Like how can you have a Supreme Court holding called Terry versus Ohio in 1968 and at the same time say that it goes against your constitutional rights? It goes against the First 10 Amendment. It
Because you're wrong. Cool.
goes against your Fourth Amendment to be free in your person.
Okay, no. Fourth Amendment doesn't say you're free in your person. It says you are free from unreasonable searches and seizures. It says your paperwork, your papers, your property, person, whatever it is free from unreasonable search and seizure from the government. Not in that exact wording. It doesn't say that you are free. No, free from unreasonable intrusions. Come on, basic stuff. Is Dennis going to call him out? No. So why am I having to do that? I'm not even an attorney. But this is correct. You can fact check me on this. I encourage you to do so. Why am I, the guy who's not an attorney, getting this right better than the attorney who allegedly got a perfect score on the bar exam? Why am I better at this than he is? We might get to that part. We'll see if we have time to get to that part.
What exactly does Terry do that Uncle D would tell you guys that it's unconstitutional? So the first thing is you always go back to the very founding of our country and you say, what are my rights? What are my rights? If you don't know your rights now, if you guys follow me from Uncle D leading you over to the trail here, you've watched me back down 20 cops. And people will chime in and say, if you were black, you couldn't do that.
Yeah, you yell at them a bunch, and then they're like, we've concluded our business here, sir, so we're going to leave. And then you pretend that that's a victory because they're good enough people not to try to instigate a fight like you do. Weird.
I'm not going to lie. 1990, you're right. 2000, probably. 2010, getting better. 2020, nah. If you know the rights, like I know the rights, right there's the
You don't know the rights, Chille.
equalizer. There it is. Don't be afraid. As soon as you moment, Officer, I'm recording. It's my First Amendment right.
Yeah, feel free.
Right here. It's my First Amendment right to record. I'm going to record everything, officer. Right in his face. Respectfully, officer, I'm going to record everything.
Okay, not right in his face. There is a limit to how you can do it. You can't be like, ah, ha, ah, ha, ha. How will you investigate this crime with my camera there? Oh, you can't touch me or put the camera out of your face. No, because that's obstruction. Don't put it right in their face. In fact, it's better to get more of a view of what's happening for context. It will help you more in court. If all you're doing is filming this officer's face and then you try to claim that they're planting evidence, but you don't get that on video, you're not going to win despite having video because it's not going to show it. So don't have it in their face. Get the scene. You got to get the picture. Come on.
Right in their face. So now your First Amendment right should ensure your constitutional right.
No, I haven't sped up. That's probably why it seems a little hyper. Nope, wasn't me. I hope he calls him dog in this video. I haven't seen this video.
Not to be Terry stopped. And so Uncle D
I'm sorry, wait, hold on.
was telling you that's unconstitutional. So what does he mean? Your constitutional right not to be Terry stopped. And so Uncle D was telling you that's unconstitutional. So what is
You don't have a constitutional right not to be Terry stopped. That's not a thing. Again, Fourth Amendment protects you against unreasonable searches and seizures. Unreasonable.
he mean? Your Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments, your first big freedoms is RAPS, R-A-P-P-S, religion, assembly, petition, press, speech. RAPS. What are your first big 5 freedoms? R-A-P-P-S.
Trying to determine if that is 100% religion, freedom of press. That sounds right.
RAPS.
He's getting there. He's learning.
Press, petition, speech. There's my first one now. I know it. I can tell the officer, I have a right to tell you I'm filming you.
But there are restrictions to the First Amendment. One of the favorite cases I like to bring up is Ward versus Walking Against Racism. Brandsburg v. Hayes is a really good one if you want to check that one out. Yeah, there are limits. There are permissible limits on the First Amendment. And the example I like to give, outside of like Supreme Court case law, is I have the First Amendment right to, practice religion, right? Let's say I'm a Satanist. I'm one of the bad ones, and I want to sacrifice babies. Well, I don't get to sacrifice babies in the name of my religion, which is a limitation on my First Amendment rights. How dare they stop me from practicing my religion? Thank you. How dare they do that? But you say, what's your right to practice religion compared to the right of someone else to not be murdered by you? And so when you have to compare two things, two conflicting rights, one of them has to win. So there are limitations on your First Amendment rights. So yeah, you have the right to film police. Generally, it's generally been ruled that way. You have the right to get all up in their face about it so they can't do their job.
Camera goes up as soon as I see a cop. Up.
Time, place, manner. Keith, that's the one. Thank you.
Don't give me some panty waist video where I'm going to teach you guys a lesson. Ready? So then in 1803, Marbury versus Matt.
Oh boy.
How do you want to see it? I want this. I want his face on camera.
Right.
I have a right to do it.
Yeah. Then just do it. You don't need to freak out about it.
Don't be intimidated. Okay.
And you can't be like, you can't handcuff me, officer, because I have to film you. That's also not going to work. People try that and like, no, I'm going to handcuff you.
So now your Fourth Amendment right, it's right down here. It says right here. See across the top? The right of the people. The Fourth Amendment is the right of the people to be secure in their person, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures.
Unreasonable. You did it, buddy. Good job.
Shall not be violated. I got the right to stand here and face you. I don't have to sit on a curb. You don't have dominion over me. You're detained.
You do. An officer does, sort of, I guess, technically. They have the authority to detain you, which in certain circumstances they do.
Detaining me? Fine, I agree to be detained. This is your...
Okay, yeah, they, under the right circumstances, reasonable articulable suspicion, they don't need your permission to detain you. If they're going to put you in handcuffs for a legitimate reason, they don't have to allow you to keep filming. If they want to be like, yeah, we'll put it aside and we'll let it keep recording, fine. But if holding that phone interferes with them arresting you, you do not have a right to continue to hold on to it. Glad we figured that out. Thank you.
Superpower. I agree to be detained, officer. Please don't touch me. I don't have any weapons. I don't agree to consensual searches.
Yeah, so you know who says they don't have weapons? People with weapons and people without weapons. But the fact that sometimes people who have weapons say they don't have weapons, it's not really, terribly convincing.
I don't agree to any consent searches.
Not all searches require your consent. Great. Glad we figured that out. I'm shocked an attorney, Dennis, hasn't stepped in and explained this. That's shocking. If I was in Houston, I need an attorney, and he was free, I still would not take him. This is concerning to me. Now, I'm not saying you should not, if you're in Houston or wherever he's licensed to practice law. I'm not saying you shouldn't use him. I am telling you that I personally would not, because this concerns me.
Okay.
That's it. Put your feet up. Put your camera up.
Put your feet up.
Now,
Sure.
Uncle D says that you can get in trouble with Terry v. Ohio because it's unconstitutional. What?
It's not, though. It's not unconstitutional. It's literally constitutional. Guys, it's not unconstitutional. Not yet.
What does Terry do? I have the right for you not to touch me. The only way through the history of time,
That's incorrect. You do not have the right to be untouched by law enforcement when there is reasonable articulable suspicion that you've committed a crime. Cool.
ever been a factor and the reason why I am the most powerful force on the universe.
Oh. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Chille is the most powerful force in the universe. Oh, boy.
Because I got a camera, just like you do.
Let me get,
Iceblade, hey, it was good to see you. They're running a 3D printer meetup tonight. Oh, goodness. Hey, good to have you here, though. Good luck with that.
My rights, inside and out, Uncle D.
let me give them some background on Terry versus Ohio, because some folks may not even know what that is. So when delete laws refers to as Terry versus Ohio, he's referring to a criminal law case that went up to the Supreme Court of the United States. So here's a little background history. On October 31st, 1963, it was Halloween day, about 2 p.m. in the afternoon. The police officer, Martin McFadden, was on duty downtown Cleveland, Ohio, when he noticed two black men standing on a street corner. Now, they don't say black men, but we know it was black men. One of the men, his name was John W. Terry.
And it doesn't matter what their race was, because what they're doing, no matter what your race is, it's suspicious.
He walked down the street, looked through a certain window, a store window, and then he continued on before turning around and returning to where he started.
Something like 7 times, right? Like many, many times. Also, meeting to confer, because there were 2 people doing this. They were meeting to confer with a third person. Then returning, walking in front. And then returning, and then walking in front. It wasn't just merely, oh, we just stopped passing by. No, it looked like they were casing the joint.
Stopping on his way back to look in another store window. So basically, you got a black man.
No, it was the same store window the entire time.
Window shopping in downtown Ohio.
No, it was a jewelry store. A lot of diamonds in there. Things that would be worth stealing. It appeared they were casing the joint.
1963. Now understand, in 1963, things are not like 2022. You know,
Shockingly. For example, no computers. Wow. Kind of. That's a whole different topic.
you just got used to integration. You know, there's still folks who are around who have certain feelings and distinctions between races. So, you know, and people don't leave that just because they put on a badge. But nevertheless, another man named Richard Chilton, he repeated Terry's movements. Another black man, McFadden, the cop, watched the pair, both men, repeat the same routine about a dozen times.
All right, well, according to him, about a dozen times. So 2 men doing the exact same route to a diamond store, peering through the window, and then walking away, and then returning, and then walking away. And then it's not like they were walking away to be like, sup, girl, tell me more about the diamond you wanted. Because, it's 1963. They don't have cell phones, right? So what exactly were they doing? It's almost like you could reasonably articulate they were casing the joint. No one's confused about this except for Chille and apparently this attorney. Who's an attorney, folks?
Danny, Uncle D.
Yeah.
Stop.
Go ahead.
You're giving me some whitewashed version of history.
Thurgood Marshall is part of the majority. Love it.
I'm giving it to him. I want to lay it. You can come in.
You're whitewashing it. It sounds like he's staying to the facts, but Chille can't run his grift if people are upset about it somehow. And to make people upset about it, you got to make it something it's not. So that's what Chille's trying to do. And the reason Chille does that is because he's misinterpreted part of the oral arguments where they established that McFadden said that he didn't like the way that Terry looked when he was casing the joint. And so Chille thinks that this means he didn't like that he looked black. I didn't like the way he looked because he was black. When in reality, and this was discussed in the oral arguments, it is brought up that no, he's just saying that he didn't like the look of the actions because it looked like he's casing the joint. It looked like he was about to commit a crime. That's what that means. So Chille is literally trying to make an argument that was figured out before 1968. And I don't know where he's confused because that's a long time ago. Plenty of time for him to have found that in the oral arguments, which he has cited. So presumably he's read them, but probably not very well, or not with the intent of actually learning from them. Only with the intent, I would speculate, to promote his grift.
I want you to come in and clean it up. Go ahead. What is Wikipedia not telling us? Go ahead.
Wikipedia, it's not true. It's a white.
What is Wikipedia not telling us? Why are you getting it from Wikipedia and not the actual case? Lawyer? Is this... I'd love to know. When you get a client and they're like, I think there's some case law that might help me. Do you go to Wikipedia or do you read the case? Like, this isn't court. This is a YouTube channel. But you're representing your business by representing what you do for that business. I would expect someone, a tech-savvy, business-savvy man like yourself, to have a better idea of how to do this. I'm just saying. Now, while I'm paused, let me just adjust myself. While I'm paused right here, I got some more super chats I gotta read because you guys being very lovely to me, and thank you so much. Where was I? I was here. James K, thanks so much, says Adobe Pro gives you 3 free intros. We already read that. You're getting greedy, and I'm being stupid about it. I'm sorry, that's on me. James K, thanks so much, says, did Michael Scott create this intro? There's so many intros. Why do you need 3 intros? Zaner, thank you so much. Says, I asked Chille to loan me $5 yesterday. He said he's a little short. Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. James K, thank you so much. A man whose lawyer is the Blizzard King has a fool for a client. Okay, solid. Solid reference. I love it. Alex Sargent wasn't Man. Oh, thank you so much, by the way. Wasn't Manosphere 2.0 that Jack Murphy guy? I don't know. I might have to look into that. Zaner, thank you again. Says I heard Chille was just seen buying a pack of water balloons. Someone's getting like, okay, I can't keep reading them. Alex Sargent, thanks so much. Says, why is this man in an Alibaba Pope chair? He's living his best life. Alex Sargent, thanks so much. Says 30 goes into 20, 0.73 times. Let's see, math. Zaner, thank you so much. Says Sperling is doing Jeremy DeWitt math. Alex Sargent, thank you so much. Says grifter math beyond 20 is 30. Big brain moves. Big brain. You guys, it's just like the two of you going back and forth. Zaner, thank you so much. Let's get what Chille and I use for a safe word. I'm not going to read that. Big Addicts, thank you so much. Oh, the old Canada, eh? Chille is like a parrot. He can't speak and only mimic. I mean, that's not a terrible assessment. Dutch Dog Discussions, thank you so much. Good to have you here. Alex Sargent, thank you so much. Says Chille clearly never learned Wololo from Age of Empires. Wololo. Seatown Waterboy, thanks so much, says, is this sped up or is he just exhibiting some serious cocaine energy? It is sped up. It is 1.5 speed. Justin B, thank you so much, says, hope you're having a good weekend. It's just starting. I hope so. Yeah, we're speeding it up because, I can't keep my mouth shut about this. I have to be sassy to every single thing. Paul Berry, thank you so much, says, so in 1803, we were given the right to film cops? No. Which brings up actually a really good point. Ooh, tangent alert. Yeah. So someone brought up time, place, manner restrictions. And those restrictions, so one of the things I like to cite from Ward versus Rock Against Racism, which might be citing another case, is when it comes to these restrictions, they have to be content neutral. They have to leave open ample alternatives for the communication of your message, and significant. There are 3. It's a 3-pronged test. Content neutral, serve a significant government interest, and leave open ample alternatives to communicate the message. So, yeah, if they're like, you can't film, well, I mean, other people can. And, remember it. Because the right to film, police, basically comes down to not necessarily the freedom of press, although, yes, to a degree. Although, a member of the press, one might presume, could just write it down afterwards, if possible. It would be more the right to petition government for redress of grievances. So sure, filming certainly helps, but people got around to redressing the government quite a bit without cameras. Cameras do make it easier, but it's not like it is a requirement. The government just can't unreasonably stop you from using it. So if you're being handcuffed, for a legitimate, lawful reason, that's reasonable. So, yeah, Chille doesn't like to hear that. He really doesn't like to hear that. So don't remind him. I would hate for him to be harassed. I'm not joking though. Like, don't harass the man. And then Iceblade, of course. Ooh, again. I already read that one. Caught myself this time. And then Zaner again. Thanks so much. As I'm so confused. Saturday nights are always search and seizure nights. I can't read the rest of that. Zaner again. Thank you so much. Says Chille gives new meaning to. Okay, I can't read that one either. Can't read that one either. Let's keep going.
Watch version of history. It's William Archer.
Y'all bad people.
Okay. Terry is mentally ill.
Oh, okay.
Is he? Where's that established? Is Terry mentally ill? Are you making that up? I'd love to know because I don't remember reading anything about that.
And it's 1963, downtown Cleveland, Halloween day, Euclid, baby. You dress to the nines and you look good.
Do you? Where's this speculation coming from?
Okay. We don't have no sweets running around down here in the day.
Okay.
Whoa. Racism alert. Whoo, boy. Racism alert. Stop it, Chille. Stop it.
Right.
John Terry's mentally ill. He's going to be confined to a mental institution from the time he gets out of prison for the rest of his life. He'll die.
Okay, I'm gonna check that. I'm gonna check that real quick. John Terry confined to mental institution. I don't. Maybe? Give me a second. Yeah, I think he's making it up. I have no idea where he's getting that from. But that's fine. You know, who needs facts? Who needs facts? Nobody needs facts.
Going to the grave saying he wasn't going to rob anything. Okay.
Now the cops say he.
Okay, again, I'm not sure that's true either. Did you know him till he died? I don't think so. Were you around him all the time? No? Okay.
Was casing the joints. That's what they were saying.
John Terry's milling around a black guy downtown. He's not supposed to be there. While
No, it's not that he's not supposed to be there. It's that he literally appears to be casing the joint. This is not confusing. That's what casing a joint looks like. I can confirm, having been an investigator, a criminal investigator for the United States Army, that's what casing a joint looks like. Not that I haven't done it. I'm familiar with the procedure of doing it for the purpose of stopping people.
died and bushy-tailed.
Now, when you say he's not supposed to be there, you don't mean he has he's legally not supposed to be there. In the cop's mind, because he's black, he's not supposed to be there. Go ahead.
Speculation.
Martin McFadden has been a cop since 1924.
25 actually, but it's okay. Pretty sure it's 25.
1924 to 1954, the primary functionality of police is to enforce black codes.
That's the speculation that Chille has. That's false. That's not the primary purpose of police, to enforce laws that specifically target black people. That's not their primary purpose. It's idiotic to make that assessment. Were there departments that were cool with that? I'm sure there were. Was that the goal of police? No. That's dumb. And before you go, oh, but Blue, you weren't there. Neither was Chille.
You're not supposed to be around here. Right. And there's no, we desegregate officially Brown versus Board of Education 54, but there's no real solid segregation until 64. I mean, it's happening, but you know your place. And hey, kid, I like him. Don't bring him in our neighborhood.
Right.
Again, speculation about Terry. He's making stuff up based on a misinterpretation that has been explained to him months ago of the oral arguments.
So, you're friends. You're friends with Dennis.
Yeah, the throat's going.
Right.
We'll push through.
Let's throw some more at you, and you debunk this. So the cop said he came and patted him down.
Why is the attorney not putting a stop to this? Come on.
And saw it, and there was a gun in his possession. He didn't see him commit a crime. There was no probable cause to believe he committed a crime.
There was reasonable suspicion. That's enough for a detention. I know you go over this in law school. I know you do. What's happening here?
I saw a guy walking down the street. looking in some windows. He's saying that looks suspicious to me, but he had no reason to run up on him and pat him down. He patted him down.
Wrong. The reason he patted him down is like, you look like you're casing a joint. I know that if you're going to commit robbery in a diamond store, you're probably going to need a weapon to do it. And therefore, I reasonably believe, and the Supreme Court agreed with this, I reasonably believe that you might be armed. So I'm going to pat you down. And he was armed, and so was his buddy. Well, isn't that weird? It's almost like they were planning on doing something. Oh, it's so crazy. I can't imagine why an officer reasonably had a thought about this. Weird. And you go, but they were convicted of casing the joint. No, but it was found reasonable. That pat down was found reasonable. And they were convicted of unlawfully carrying a concealed firearm, which is good enough to get them away from that diamond store for a while. So mission accomplished, I guess. That's so weird. Oh, I don't know. Oh gosh. A child could understand this. Why are a lawyer is not figuring this out? Come on.
And then I believe he said he patted down the other guy and there was a pistol on him too.
Stop right there, Uncle D. Stop right there real quick. Okay, guys. Uncle D has just identified the exact crux of what Terry versus Ohio is about.
What?
Do the police have the right, in the name of officer safety, if they see you, remember, if they see you in 1963, they see you, does the cop have the right, in the name of officer safety, to be able to run up and Terry stop you?
Yes. If they can reasonably articulate a crime that you are committing or about to commit or have committed, and they can reasonably articulate that you may be armed for whatever reason. Yes, they do in fact have that right. Because when the Supreme Court rules that you have a right, that kind of establishes you always have that right. Unless that ruling comes from a change in law. So example, if a federal law is passed, and then it probably wouldn't go to the Supreme Court. It doesn't matter. Yeah, you've kind of always had that right. It would appear based on Terry versus Ohio. If you've read Terry versus Ohio, you would know this. But Terry versus Ohio is not something that Chille appears to have read very well, or at least not understood. So, and Dennis apparently is only getting his information off of Wikipedia instead of from the actual case, which again is concerning.
It's going to be called a Terry stop.
Right.
Where they get to grab you, a violation.
Not a violation. They can put hands on you to detain you if it's necessary, the least amount of force to gain reasonable compliance. Right? If they have to gain compliance for a legitimate reason, they can put hands on. It's like auditors. First Amendment auditors also don't understand this, and they're wrong many times. Some of them are right in specific circumstances, but generally they are overall wrong because they have the belief that nobody can touch them and it's illegal to touch them. It's not true. Even if there isn't a reasonable articulable suspicion, there are circumstances where an officer can put hands on you. It can't be like rough generally. Well, there are circumstances where it actually could be, but generally no. But there are circumstances that Chille, of course, with his zero knowledge in this, doesn't understand because he doesn't understand any of the details of it. He has his buzzwords. He doesn't understand the foundation of that he's discussing because of course he doesn't. A Terry stop is not an officer runs up and grabs you and holds you in place. That's not a Terry stop at all. It's a pat down over the clothes to determine if a person is armed, which is only authorized, and I keep saying this because he keeps being wrong about it, if there is reason to detain that person, a lawful reason to detain them, and there is a reasonable, or there's reason to believe, reasonable reason to believe that that person is armed with a weapon that could cause harm to the officer. This is very well established. Even before Terry versus Ohio, this was established case law throughout the states. Not every state necessarily, but many states had this. Shocking, I know.
Of the Fourth Amendment.
Of your Fourth Amendment right to be secure in your person, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures.
All right, so let's explain that to these folks. Reasonable. Okay, we all know that the cop can't come in your house without a search warrant.
That is incorrect. That is incorrect. An officer can enter your home if there's an exigent circumstance.
And in order to get a search, unless, well, I mean, I know there's extenuating circumstances. You chase
exigent circumstances.
To some crook, there's emergency, got it. But
exigent, not exigent.
Just for the purposes, if they don't have reasonable suspicion, if they don't know anything about your house, if they don't have probable cause, they can't come in. Unless.
Why would they? Now, let me explain exigent circumstances. I'll list a couple of them. You, under plain view doctrine, you see evidence of crime happening. Like you're on the sidewalk and you look over and, someone's beating a dog to death on the second floor. Oh, horrible. Yeah, that's an exigent circumstance. You can enter that home without a warrant. You've seen a crime happen. Or you suspect a crime has occurred in that home, and you have reason to believe that they are actively destroying evidence. That's an exigent circumstance. You have the hot pursuit doctrine, whereas if you're chasing someone who's committed a crime and they run into their house, you can then follow them into their house, as long as it's basically an unbroken pursuit. There are exigent circumstances that do not require a warrant. Not every arrest requires a warrant. Not every arrest, guys. Many of them, not all of them.
Unless there's some sort of emergency. All right. So imagine
This is like basic policing too. This is like the most basic. This is what you learn in like the beginning of policing.
the cops saying, I can't Terry
What is he
stop you,
looking
I
at?
can't search you unless I have probable cause. That's
Loss
a high
of
burden.
Life. All right, 1925, exigent circumstance. Loss of life. Yeah, okay, to protect someone from dying. Yeah. The hot pursuit, called that one. Seize evidence if you believe they are destroying evidence or are about to destroy evidence, or it might be destroyed. He is missing plain view doctrine. He does have the automobile exclusion, which I don't really think that's for searching. That's not for seizing. Well, yeah, I don't think the automobile exclusion is an exigent circumstance. That just determines what you can search. That's a whole thing. So Chille's pointing at things that aren't entirely relevant. It's fine.
Reasonable suspicion can be something they just
Mark, the sarcastic law student, how am I doing, by the way? How's my assessment going? And how do you feel about the Blizzard King not really picking up on all of the errors that are like basic law?
made up in their head because you just look like you don't belong here. You're dressed funny, you're the wrong color. They'll never tell you that, but they can add all of these different factors in.
It doesn't matter if you're the wrong color if you're also committing a crime. Like, I'm not saying, yeah, some officers do that. It's a shame. It's a real shame. Interestingly, that's a problem that spans the races. Like, black officers do the same thing. And I think part of the problem is because there is that fear amongst many African Americans that officers are out to get them. And so when you're afraid of somebody, you exhibit signs that are very similar to being afraid of being caught for committing a crime. And there are a lot of times where an African American person that I've been interacting with will be very sort of aggressive towards me. I've had to be more lenient with them to calm them down and be like, that's not going to happen. I understand that you are getting upset because you are creating a self-fulfilling prophecy that I'm going to be harder on you, and therefore there's no reason for you to try to be compliant. You're just going to be angry about it before it even happens. And when you're angry about it, that's going to cause me to give you fewer chances. And so I have to take a step back and give you more chances. I've had circumstances. I'm not saying I did it every single time, but when someone was of a different race than me, I tried harder to give them more chances. To be like, no. I understand what's going through your head, but you're creating the problem yourself. And I think that happens even if whoever's the officer is black. They're going to encounter a very similar thing. And so when you look at the studies of like, oh, what are the biases that officers have? There isn't much of a difference between black and white officers, which I think is very fascinating because I believe that it's based on a cultural response to law enforcement and the creation of self-fulfilling prophecies, where you believe something's going to happen, so you act like it's already happened before it's happened, which causes it to happen. If that makes sense, it's a real problem. And so, on one hand, you got to be like, "Hey, black community and other communities that have this problem, keep this in mind." You also have to go to the officers and say, "Hey, officers, like, also keep this in mind. Like, you might have to work harder and be a little cooler with them to sort of bring everything back and sort of rebalance." We both have to work on that, but you know.
And together
I don't even know where I started with that conversation, but it was good information to put out.
and say, hey, I had reasonable suspicion. Go ahead, delete laws.
Okay, every single term that Uncle D just used directly relates to a Supreme Court case or constitutional law. Well, the Supreme Court cases are constitutional law. So when you say reasonable articulable suspicion, that's a made-up term.
It's not. Well, I mean, all terms are made up. Chille, literally every term is made up.
That they just made up in the 60s.
Okay. And so I skimmed this case. Sorry, I'm adjusting because I'm wearing shorts. I'm sticking to my chair, which is very creaky today and every day. I found a book. And this is let's see. What's this book? It's from 1953. It's the Utah Consolidated Utah Code Annotated, 1953 publication. Yeah, Utah Code Annotated. And in that, we find the quote, reasonable, articulable suspicion in the context of discussing someone who had the smell of alcohol on their breath. 1953. So if this is a phrase that was made up in the 60s, how is it being published in a book from 1953? A book about Utah law? A book that is the Utah Code Annotated? How exactly is that happening? Now, that phrase goes back farther than that, I do believe. I think I've seen it at least as far back as the 20s, possibly farther than that. But yeah, that's not a phrase that was made up in the 60s. In fact, the phrase reasonable articulable suspicion does not appear in Terry versus Ohio, at least not in the ruling itself. So Chille's just making stuff up. It's a thing. Now, good old boy says most people create their own problems with police. I wouldn't say most people, because that would require me to have more information on that than I do. But certainly people do. It does happen. It is not necessarily an uncommon thing. I'm not saying it's going to happen every single time. I mean, you could say most people create their own problem by committing crimes. And so in that case, yeah, sure. There are a lot of circumstances where people take what is a small thing and make it into a really big thing once police arrive. And it didn't have to go that way. For example, a while back, I had a video about this woman who was punched in the head twice by a police officer. And it would appear that the police officer did not intend to punch her in the head, but she was spitting, she was biting, she was fighting because she was caught with an open container on a beach. That was it. And she tried to walk away, and the officer had to grab her, and then she swung at the officer, and the officer took her down, and she started going nuts, and they couldn't, she was going crazy. And to get her to stop attacking them, an officer tried to, I believe, strike her in the arm because she was fighting. So when you trying to get someone's arm, there are circumstances where you are allowed to just basically dead arm them, and then that sort of shocks their arm into not being locked up. And then you can get it behind their back. She was committing felonies at that point for something that was a fine, probably. She's committing felonies, but she was struggling so much when the officer went for her arm. And this is what I believe happened based on observation. He struck her in the back of the head. She won money because of that. Not because the department admitted wrongdoing, but because it probably would have been less expensive to settle on it than it would be to fight it. She didn't win in court, but she won money. There was a settlement basically saying, we weren't wrong, but take your money and promise not to go after us. It was a situation, and I feel like the officers could have just tied her out. There are times where you do want to strike if there's a crowd forming and the crowd's starting to get involved and you got to end it real quick. Yeah, strikes. I don't know if that was happening there. You got to be careful with that sort of stuff. And he was wrong to punch her in the head. He was not wrong to punch her in the arm based on what I found legally. Anyway, morally, you could argue that, sure. But legally, he wasn't legally wrong. But she escalated to that point where it got to where she's committing felonies. And it's just oh, all you had to do was be oops, I'll leave. I'm sorry, I didn't realize this beach there was no alcohol. Also, she was underage, so it probably would have been more than that. But it was a mess, and she did that to herself. It's stuff like that, Anyway, sorry. Tangents. I am. Let me keep going to that. We got to that point. I'm glad we got to that point at least.
Because they want to be able to grab this guy. I tell it to my viewers, mostly white boomers. They don't like it when I say it. Some of them. Most people.
Viewers are mostly idiots. The reason I think most of your viewers are white boomers is because you made the black community very, very angry. Very angry. You were branded a racist, weren't you? Yeah. That's probably why they're all white boomers now.
People are not racist, but some of them are stuck in their ways and racist, sure. But it's a racist holding based on being able to grab John Terry. So he said,
again, not a racist holding because Chille just misunderstood the oral arguments. It's fine.
Reasonable articulable suspicion. I started off this my speech by saying you can now tell people that reasonable articulable suspicion is based on racism created by the member of the KKK, Hugo Black, on the Supreme Court.
What? Reasonable articulable suspicion is based on racism created by the members of the KKK.
People, the reasonable articulable suspicion is based on racism created by the member of the KKK, Hugo Black, on the Supreme Court.
Was that right? He's the one. Chille, this phrase existed well before this ruling. You moron. You're so dumb. How are you so dumb? So annoying. Anyway, just like me sometimes. How's it going, Lisa? You're all right. I'm struggling to get anywhere because I can't stop interrupting him and going, why are you so stupid?
One of the questions the John Terry's lawyer.
Very, very familiar with him. Yes, sir.
So now he also said, unless there's an emergency, they can't stop you. That comes from Carroll versus United States in 1925.
No. Hold on. No, Carroll v. United States is the vehicle exclusion thing that we were talking about. What is it? The auto exclusion rule. They can stop you for reasons that aren't an emergency. And by the time of this case, I believe there was case law that had clarified that. Because back when, vehicles were becoming popular for the first time, there probably was some ruling that was like only for emergencies. But it's very much not just for emergencies. I believe the Supreme Court has ruled on this, saying that you can be stopped for violating traffic laws, which are not necessarily emergencies, if they're just civil infractions. So, 1925 is not. There's going to be more recent case law than that. I'm certain of it. Stop making stuff up, Chille. People like me will just continue to call you out and prove you wrong.
Exigent circumstances. They can grab you. If there's an emergency, they can violate your rights.
There is, again, additional case law that clarifies that to the point where Chille is wrong.
And then what was the other one you said, Captain? You said
if hot pursuit, they're in pursuit of a crook or criminal or something. He ran in your house.
Right. What are the three parts of the 1925 holding called Carroll versus United States? It creates the exigent circumstances clause. This is where they're allowed to go around the warrant and can just search your car without a warrant based on
very limited parts of your car.
If there's a hot pursuit, they got to get evidence or there's going to be a lawsuit.
But other than those,
I don't know that. Okay, we're checking this, folks. We're checking this. What case created exigent circumstances? Google. Mitchell versus Wisconsin. Oh wait, no, that's 2019. That's a different one. Kentucky versus King is one. That's for a home arrest. Kentucky versus King. Oh, Kentucky Supreme Court. Start of the thing. That's 2011. Okay, weird. Carroll v. United States. Does Carroll v. United States say anything about exigent? Doesn't necessarily have to. All right. Search without a warrant of an automobile and seizure therein. Yeah, of an automobile. This isn't the establishment of every single exigent circumstance. Chille is, of course, lying to us again. I just want to check. Get you guys the most accurate information. So let's keep going.
Those exigent circumstances, they have to have probable cause.
I'm sorry.
Based on, is there a hot pursuit? They got to get evidence or there's going to be a lawsuit.
But other than those exigent circumstances, they have to have probable cause.
Yes, that's actually generally true because a warrant will only be issued upon proof of probable cause or something like that.
So
it's an emergency, Danny.
Right. But so
no.
Terry versus Ohio gave the police officers a walk around. I no longer need probable cause because I have reasonable suspicion.
That was already a thing, and he wasn't arrested. They didn't need a warrant to detain him or to pat him down. You don't need a warrant to do any conceivable type of search or seizure. It's only for certain types of searches and seizures, which Terry versus Ohio did not amount to at that time.
And if I look at these different factors and I put them together, hey, I'm going to stop you and pat you and frisk you down. And here's the kicker. I'm patting you down for my safety.
Uh-huh.
I walked across the street to harass you and put myself in your face.
No, you walked across the street to do your job, which is to investigate crime and stop it, perhaps. And then while you're doing your job, which you are paid to do by the city, I imagine he was a city officer, Detroit, right? Well, gosh, guess what? While you're doing your job, you get to also try to be safe about it reasonably. So this guy didn't cross the street just to be like, oh, I'm gonna touch you. No, he crossed the street to do his job. Why are you all so dumb?
And now I'm going to pat you down for my safety, even though I could have stayed across the street and been perfectly fine because I hadn't seen you commit a crime. But I'm just going to walk across.
No, you that would be probable cause. This is reasonable suspicion, where there's reason to believe you have committed, are committing, or will be committing a crime based on articulable evidence, essentially. Reasonably articulable, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. My voice is going. That's my excuse. Yeah. It has to be reasonably articulable. RAS. Whatever the S stands for. I need another cop job. Oh, did I say Detroit? I'm thinking... You're absolutely right. Well, why am I saying Detroit? I did this before as well. Suspicion. I'm sorry. Reasonable articulable suspicion. Sorry, where was... Oh, it was Cleveland. It was Cleveland. The reason... I figured it out. The reason I confused Detroit and Cleveland is because there was this video, like the tourism board of Cleveland. It wasn't actually tourism board of Cleveland, but it's this video like, welcome to Cleveland. And it's just this video of like, look at all our pigeons on the buildings. This is what people think is modern art. It goes on and on. Thank you. Rainey says, suspicion. Like, what's wrong with you? I'm sorry. And it's this hilarious video of like, Cleveland, yay. And it's just this big old joke. It's hilarious. And then at the end it goes, but at least we're not Detroit. We're not Detroit. And so I guess that's probably the reason I get them confused. We finally come to the bottom of that. If any of you have seen that video, oh, it's a good one. What kind of seizure is good with no warrant? I would assume only plain view doctrine and exigent circumstances also use sick. Your voice sounds a bit scratchy. I was sick. I'm getting over it. My throat hasn't fully recovered. I'm over an hour and a half of just basically straight up speaking. So it's rough. Yeah, things like the things you mentioned, absolutely be warrantless, basically search and seizure. You would not require a warrant for that. A detention based on reasonable articulable suspicion does not require a warrant. An arrest is where a warrant starts becoming necessary. A detention, not so much. For a reasonable amount of time, anyway.
Across the street. That's the BS associated with Terry versus Ohio. But here's the thing, because I want to give these guys some meat to go home with. So the trial lawyer did what he was supposed to do. He filed a motion to suppress the evidence because there was no probable cause to stop these gentlemen.
You know, he was doing his job. It's a pretty common thing to just try to suppress evidence. He failed.
But the district court said, no, well, I'm going to deny your motion.
Shocking, because it wasn't, they decided that, and the Supreme Court ruled with them.
Going to let the evidence in. And so the evidence of the pistols came in there. And I don't know the gun rights laws back then in 1963, but they may have very well had a right to have a concealed weapon.
They did not. They absolutely did not have a right to have a concealed weapon at that time. Nobody did. Without certain circumstances that they did not meet. It wasn't a race thing either.
At that time, I don't know. I'd have to check it. But either way, he hadn't committed a crime. He was just carrying a concealed weapon.
Which was a crime.
And so now he's in jail. He's going in for that.
He was convicted. So obviously it was a crime. You're an attorney.
They didn't exclude the evidence. It's in the record. The jury sees the judge denied the motion. And, because they presume they had a legal right to do it.
And they were correct. Is Artie here? Artie, help. Tell me this guy's stupid. Tell me I'm right.
That went all the way up to
or tell me I'm wrong. Either way.
The Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, yeah, that's cool. We're with that.
Wow. Great. Moving on.
And now we got cops able to just run up on you with, as long as they have a reasonable, articulable suspicion, which is a lot, and this is the thing. And this is what I want y'all to hear.
Okay, we're going to say it again. Say it with me, ladies and gentlemen. Reasonable, articulable suspicion that you have committed, are committing, or will commit a crime, and there is reason to believe, and it's a reasonable reason, that you are also armed. So, while detaining you to briefly investigate whether or not you have committed, are committing, or will commit a crime, an officer may pat you down, again, if they reasonably suspect you to be armed in a manner that would endanger them potentially, can pat you down to ensure everybody's safety during the detention on the outside of your clothes. Just boop, 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 boop. Unless you're a woman, in which case that would not be acceptable. Because the alternative is just handcuff everybody while they're waiting. That's the alternative. So, I'm going to tell you, buddy. You big dummies.
That is what gives them a gateway into your life. It is unconstitutional on its face. It's unconstitutional in the way it's applied.
It's obviously not. I'm sorry, Dennis, are you smarter than every Supreme Court since 1968? Every one of them? Every Supreme Court justice? Are you smarter than all of them? Why aren't you up there? I've seen your court case. It's horrendous. There was an incident in 2014. We'll be going over that in the future. I'm hoping to get a couple more people involved in that one. It is an absolute nightmare of just mistakes. I tell you, he's not smarter than the Supreme Court justices. I would be shocked if he was. He will never. And I will donate $5,000 to a children's cancer hospital if he ever gets out of the Supreme Court. Remind me. Hold me to that. Just shocking.
Especially disproportionately towards black and brown folks. And so what we have to...
Okay, then address that. Then make that a thing. Don't be like, we're getting rid of this thing that we're allowed to do. If there is reason to believe that officers are abusing it, address that. Fix those issues. Doesn't mean get rid of it. It means, okay, is this a training issue? Is this an officer issue? Is it a personnel issue? Problem solved. What are you talking about?
Do is come up with some kind of legislation, or not some kind. We have to put force and effort and we have to push our legislator to come up with some legislation to make sure.
It's like they don't know what policing
Go ahead,
is.
Delete Laws. What would you like to add to that?
Well, I mean, you didn't say a single thing I disagreed with. I loved every bit of it. But just remember, there's no such thing as reasonable articulable suspicion when your camera's out.
Right.
That's not how cameras work. What? No. There's the reasonable articulable suspicion does not just magically go away when your camera comes out. Were you not arrested when you had your camera out when you were filming the police when you were trespassing? That was probable cause, though, to be fair. But probable cause didn't go away. Reasonable articulable suspicion does not go away. I'm just like stunned that the Blizzard King is not sort of being like, well, hold your horses there, buddy. We got it. Look, my voice is like this. I get to use this. Listen, buddy, I need you to calm down a little bit. I just can't, based on what I learned in law school, I just can't get on board. Ford, the best a man can get. So, team up with Gillette, apparently. You want a razor whose engine will drop out when you're least expecting it? Ford. I don't know. I don't dislike Ford. It's just, the running joke there. But when I'm sick, I got to talk like this a bunch. So I'm okay with that. I'm gonna use and abuse it while I can. I'm gonna stare deeply into the camera and just sort of gravel at you. Anyway, okay. Let's keep going.
I'm going to teach classes on YouTube of how to film. This is your goal. This is your golden ticket. If you haven't watched any of my videos, you've seen me do it.
It didn't stop you from fleeing multiple states on warrants. So can't be working that well.
Here's the thing, Delete Laws. I want there to be an institutional change. I want to take away cops' rights to even stop and frisk.
Almost had me. Take away cops' rights to stop and frisk. If you want to limit it, if you want to create more statutes that create a solid foundation of like what it is, like just put it in that box. Like New York, 1990, with the stop and frisk in New York. That was a big problem. And then they fixed it through legislation, I imagine, or through something. Yeah, if there's an issue, fix it like that. I have no problem with that. But to be like, reasonable articulable suspicion is made up, is like, well, now you're just lying to people. And you're an attorney, the Blizzard King. So what's your excuse?
If you don't have probable cause, nothing. You get nothing. And there are some states, I think there's at least one state that has done away with Terry versus Ohio. And so
I don't know that that's true.
What do you...
Detentions are still allowed, though. Maybe just the pat down.
But here's the thing. Give them... Terry versus Ohio was a gateway. What else did it lead to? Go ahead.
Oh my God.
So right. Here you go. Go ahead. This is why I bring this guy in here. Let's give a hand to
I bring him in because he doesn't know what he's talking about. But he sounds like maybe he does because buzzwords.
Give him what this opened the door to. This Pandora's box. What did it do?
So we got to go back to the beginning. Remember what I said? You opened the door to warrantless searches and seizures in 1925 case of Carroll versus United States. Okay, that's where...
That was for vehicles, but good job being wrong.
You can go, no warrant. As long as I think there's danger, if I say I'm chasing you, then you know what? I can skip your rights. So
no, it's more than that. It's chasing based on probable cause. Now, the probable cause could be just fleeing because of reasonable suspicion. That's still probable cause of fleeing because you have the right to detain someone under reasonable articulable suspicion. So, yeah, it's not just for any reason. God, he's so stupid. I might have to stop because my voice freaking out. We'll still talk. Put a 1 in the chat if you want me to go over more of this later. Different day, maybe not on a Friday. I definitely am planning on going over Dennis Sperling's lawsuit against the city of Houston, which is, oh my God, it's so funny. So funny. Goldfish, how's it going? What is the deal with the airline food? 1 in the chat. All right, we want more of this. Then we'll stop it. We're at 29:09. Perfect. Because it gets, it's just a gold mine. And it's, to be fair, folks, it's going to be more of me just going, this is so dumb, interrupting it every 10 seconds, because that's how long it takes. Chille can't apparently go more than 10 seconds without being wrong. So, Rennie says, it sounds like I'm dying. I'm doing fine. It's just my voice is like, hey there, buddy. Heard you were trying to use me. It's fine. It's fine. So, we'll stick around. We'll do it to the full 2 hours, but I'm probably going to stop doing the commentary because I might start yelling again. That would be bad for me, as much as I'd love to do it. Yeah. Let me do some super chats. I'll do it in the voice, too. Get the hat going on with the old cowboy shenanigans. Yeah. Harumph, I say. Guess I should do this voice more often. All right. I'll lick more things. Some of the, and then you're like, yeah, so look at me. Oh, hey, I'm a taken man. You can think about it. I can't. All right. Grift Kai, thank you so much. Says, thanks for giving a great stream to cook to. You sound good in my kitchen. I don't sound good anywhere. Zaner, the assistant. I'm not going to pronounce it the way you want me to. Thank you so much. Says, sometimes Chille is so dumb. Charlie. That's a good one, Zaner. Zaner, I'm going to give you this. Against my better judgment. That's a good one. Chille's so dumb. Charlie teaches him new tricks. Charlie is Chille's dog. Navy Girl, thank you so much. Is Chille going to try to connect this to the MLK assassination again? That wouldn't really shock me if he tried to do that. The H-Bot, thank you so much. Says this attorney has to be getting paid by Jose to put up with this BS. How could a licensed attorney put up with it otherwise? Now, that's why I put this out of the stream. Is he involved in the grift or something along those lines? Because there are two things that we learn from this. Either this attorney is incredibly incompetent in at least one pretty major aspect of law, or he's promoting Chille in order to benefit from it somehow. I can't think of a different option. So I'm thinking either way, not a good look. I wouldn't hire him personally. You can feel free to. I would not. I'm not going to tell you not to. I can tell you I wouldn't. All right. Zaner again. Thank you so much. That's stupid. One of them left his car unlocked with the keys in it, and the other one let that one on his show. That's why you're the one with the trophy. Anyway. Thumper's mom says, and thank you, by the way, says, why is Chille holding a dry erase marker the whole time? I don't know, because I fidget with things too sometimes. I got a little handcuff key I fidget with. Maybe that's just the point. I don't know what he's doing, though. I think he knows what he's doing. 3-Ron Aaron, maybe? I don't know, but thank you. It says, I'm more than capable of holding my phone in one hand and pulling my pistol with my other hand. So it's quite reasonable to check me. Hey, I appreciate your logic. Sometimes we don't always have that on this channel. It's a tip of the hat to you, sir. But yeah, that's fair. Phones are getting smaller every day. And sometimes actually bigger. They hit a small point and they got bigger again once the screen started getting good. The old P-Hub started being a thing. This is an internet joke. Anyway, I'm not going to elaborate. Jilly's GPS marker crayon. Okay. Thank you. It says, I wouldn't want either of these men as my attorney. Well, one of them's actually an attorney, one of them's not. And I'm worried that one of them's an attorney. I feel like, why? Surely you should know. Now, at some point, he says, boys had handcuffs. All right. You know what? Heck, I might as well. Rebecca. All right, I got them. All right. Now, surely, you'd think, all right, maybe you lose a little bit of knowledge. You'd think you'd gain experience, practicing law for 20 years. I messed myself up there. I'm stuck, folks. Can't get out. Made these a little tight. I can fix this, actually. No. Oh, no. You might think to yourself, you think you get smarter. You might think to yourself, oh, well, maybe he just became, he found a focus in law. He hasn't had to deal with this. But he's like a injury attorney. I don't know. I feel like it would still be kind of possibly relevant occasionally. I'm struggling with this. There we go. And I do this to anyone I handcuff too tight as well. If it was actually too tight. Yeah, there we go. What was I saying? I forgot already. Thank you. Now, yeah, now, you can also articulate, cool, you can articulate, maybe you get better, maybe you get worse. But he said he scored perfect on the whole bar exam. And I've read his case, and it's atrocious. And it's not just like his understanding of the law. It's grammar and spelling's horrendous. And which raises my question. We'll go over this in the future. I made this too tight again. I should flip this around. I'm going to do that. Even if his knowledge of law was not sustained, his grasp of the English language, one would assume, is not getting worse. And this is a case he filed on behalf of himself. He was his own attorney for this one. So you'd think he'd put maximum effort into it. And if he's doing that poorly on something, you'd expect him to put a lot of effort into, because it's him. It's affecting. It's his personal time that he can devote to it. You think it'd be really good. So it raises a question in my mind. If I'm hiring him, how much time is he going to devote to me? How bad is my case going to look? That's just some concerns. And so either he's lying about getting a perfect score, or maybe I'm wrong, or maybe he did get a perfect score, and he's like, his brain's just degrading to the point where he doesn't understand the English language anymore. Because the bar exam has a portion of it that it's an essay portion. You have to be able to spell, like grammar counts, I believe, for your score. And his grammar's not up to snuff, ladies and gentlemen. But you know how it is. Anyway. Where was I? The Zayner says, blue, that bosun hat. I want to look at the Cheeto dust off your fingers. I don't have any on my fingers today. I'll have to come back a different time, different Friday. PIC, Witch of Heart. It says, I just want to thank you, by the way, to both of you. It says, I just want to hear you say my name in that voice. Well, much obliged, little lady. Rebecca Lynn, I might have ruined that. I don't know. Rebecca Lynn, thank you for being a member. Says voice had handcuffs. Yeah, you know how it be. Cindy Sue, thank you for being a member. Says blue bacon, make yourself whiskey sour, extra honey and extra lemon for your throat. I don't think I have honey or lemon, but I got some apple juice. The old juicy juice there. Ah, heck. Jennifer, thanks so much. Says the Whack a Blue Bacon Fund. That's fair. I deserve that. All right, let me see if I can get. Oh, don't look at that. You see what the apple juice, the brand is. So they're very protective of their apples, the blends. Just a little bit of that good stuff. Ooh, squeaky little cork noise. You gotta love it. All right. How are we all doing? I got a couple more minutes. I got 5 more minutes. They don't send you. Tom Magnum says they don't send your essay scores. There you go. If that's true, what was the first place he got? So the first time he did it, he got a perfect score. And I have my notes here. Let me pull them up. They're behind the camera where they should be. Oh, we didn't even get to his reviews. We'll get to that in the future. We'll talk about this guy again. Louisiana. So if they don't send you your scores in Louisiana, there you go. He has a lot of schooling, though. Texas Southern University has a PhD in environmental biology. Or he was a candidate I don't know how that works. So I guess he didn't get his PhD. I'm not sure. Master of Science, biological sciences. Probably very knowledgeable about biological sciences. Not very knowledgeable about Terry versus Ohio. Tulane University. He was Master of Laws, 2000-2001. Was for environmental and energy law. Very nice. His Juris Doctor, he got from 1997 to 2000. Before that, he had a Bachelor of Science in biological science, general biological sciences, and from 1992 to 1997. Took 5 years to get that. Okay. But some honey to go coat my throat. Go get some. I don't have any honey. I have some tea that's got honey in it, I think. I don't know. Really, a PhD candidate just means that you got accepted in the PhD program. Well, there you go. So he doesn't have a PhD. My bad. My bad. Rennie, if you want to open up the old let me. We'll just send you that right there. Yep. Gotcha. Perfect. Thank you, Rennie. All right, I got 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Yeah, no Kermit today. I don't think I was asking for it. I think you all know why. Yeah, Kermit, you want to? No. Oh, that's not taste good with menthol. Ah. Tastes like raw pumpkin. It's weird. Jay says I'm super late, so thumbs up, and you'll all be gone by the time I catch up. Dang it. Yeah, it's probably true, because we're going to be gone in a couple minutes. But it's good to have it here. You get to hear me speak in this voice, because I'm kind of sick. Maybe kind of gravelly, which makes it sound like I'm in a car commercial, advertising some rugged trails and big engines or something. I don't know. Go rest my voice and miss out on the fun, y'all. Ridiculous. Okay, let me unhandcuff myself. Let me unhandcuff myself for a second. Oh, I did that one wrong as well. That's fine. I got this one right. It's really not that bad. It's just, it's dry at this point, basically, because I ran out of water. Because I'm a fool. A lot of degrees on the same level as PhD. I mean, that's right, because you have pre-law, which is whatever your major is, then law, which is 3 years. It is a Juris Doctor in law. So, yeah, okay, I'll allow that. Can't. There we go. Lisa says she likes rugged blue, as opposed to ridiculous and obnoxious blue that we usually have. Rabble, rabble, rabble. I play to my strengths. That's what I do. Ladies, gentlemen. All right. It's fine. Yeah, put the hat over there. All right. Blah. We're fine. Everything's fine. All right. So, oof. Don't mind me. Here's 6 years. Whew. Good times. Anyway, did I miss anything? Of course, Cindy, thank you so much. I don't know if I thank you for that. You guys are fantastic. I'm gonna get out of here. We gotta talk about this guy more, and there's more to talk about, even without Chille involved. So I definitely want to go over more of this stream. And there's, Chille's always putting out crazy information. There'll never be a stop. I know some of you getting sick, but if he's gonna go attacking people, I'll take some of the heat off them, and that's kind of the point. And I'll keep making my normal stuff, and maybe I'll just stream more, to cover other things that you guys might be interested in. But I kind of feel like I have a duty in some ways to keep addressing the errors of delete laws. I don't want him to run away and start up again. Like when he got kicked off of TikTok, and he's like, "Oh, I got to reform, restart somewhere else." I don't want that to happen again. And not that I don't want him to be successful or anything. I want him to stop lying to people for money. That's what I want to stop. So, I not yet. I can't give up on that yet. As much as I'd like to keep moving on. Yeah. It's the whole thing. But with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, you phenomenal people. Thank you so much. And hopefully I'll get to talk to you all again soon. And Brandon, we have things, Ironton related things. Did we distribute those? We'll talk later. It's fine. So with that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, it's been wonderful as always. Xander, thank you so much. Just don't choke on the blue. That's my job. Okay. I should have read all of that. With that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. And until next time, be good and stay safe.